Alright guys, so the copper update just came out in Minecraft a few days ago, and I was going over the update with my chat, and that's when I made a really weird discovery. So if you guys do not know, in Minecraft Java Edition, axes are actually pretty good in PvP because they do so much damage, they even do more damage than a sword. Now in Bedrock this is not the case, swords are way much better than axes for PvP, but like I said, on Java, axes are actually pretty good for PvP. Now one thing that's weird about axes that I really didn't know until this update came out was that most of the axes in the game are identical when it comes to PvP. For example, these 4 axes that are in my inventory right now all do the same amount of attack damage. Now these 3 axes are different. As you can see, the wooden axe has 7 attack damage, the golden axe also has 7, and the netherite axe does 10 damage, which makes sense. But the copper axe, the diamond axe, the iron axe, and the stone axe all do 9 attack damage. Now that doesn't mean that the copper axe is just as good as the diamond axe, because that's just not true at all. As you can see, attack speed is also a factor here, and obviously you want to use the axe with the highest attack speed, which would be netherite and diamond. They're tied. So obviously netherite axe is the best, and then it's the diamond axe. But if we're listing it by attack speed, you'll see that the copper axe, the wooden axe, and the stone axe each have 0.8 attack speed. And then the iron axe is the only one with 0.9 attack speed, and then the gold axe, the diamond axe, and the netherite axe all have 1 attack speed. I just feel like it's kind of weird that the axes are like so similar. I feel like the jump from copper to netherite should be more than a 1 damage gap. Not to mention that's like a 0.2 attack speed gap. And this might not seem that crazy, but when you look at swords, it's completely different. The wooden sword does 4 attack damage, which immediately goes up when the stone sword does 5. The copper sword also does 5, which I feel like is pretty reasonable. And then the iron sword does 6. Like I said, it just keeps going up. And then the gold sword also does 4 attack damage, which is the same as wood. And I'm not gonna lie, gold tools are kind of useless. Like, why would you want to use a gold sword when it does the same attack damage as a wooden sword and it's gonna break way faster? Anyway, right after that, we jump to diamond sword, which is 7. So if you look at like the major tools and not the ones that you're not really gonna use, like the gold sword and the copper sword, it goes 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the netherite sword is 8. I feel like that's pretty reasonable, right? Because like I said, these 2 swords you're probably not going to use. These are like the major swords that you're actually going to use in this game. It should jump. Because if you have a wooden sword, then you upgrade it, it should be better. You upgrade the stone sword, it should be better. You get what I'm saying? So it doesn't really make any sense. Like, if you look at the correct order of like how you're going to get these items in a game, I guess it would technically go like this, but most people wouldn't really use a gold axe. Um, but yeah, it would go wood to stone, which is a jump, which would make sense. And then stone to copper is identical. Copper to iron is a tiny bit different. And then iron to gold goes down, which again is weird. And then gold to diamond is obviously a jump, but again, take out gold, take out copper. These are the major axes in the game. So we have 7, 9, 9, 9, 10. And like I said earlier, attack speed is also a factor. But as you can see with a sword, it's like kind of the opposite. The attack damage goes up every time, but the attack speed is the exact same every time. But I feel like that makes more sense. I feel like it makes more sense that it does more damage as you make it better, but it doesn't swing faster. Because at the end of the day, it wouldn't really make any sense that the better your axe is, the faster it swings. I guess the argument is that axes aren't meant for fighting, they're meant for chopping down trees. But this is the attack speed, this isn't like the speed of it cutting down a tree. And I don't really know that the attack speed makes that much of a difference, considering it's only like, what, 0.2 of a second? Like, between, like, copper and stone being the same thing, and then the jump to netherite, that's only like 0.2 seconds faster, which is a difference, but it's not a very big difference. So I just feel like they need to do something different with the axes in this game. Because I really did like how PvP was when swords were superior to axes for PvP, because it just makes more sense. I do like how axes can break shields. I feel like that's a pretty cool feature. But at the end of the day, like, if you have swords in the game, they should be what you use to fight, not the axe. Now, like I said before, I do think that the sword is better for fighting if you have the right enchantments. But I just feel like it shouldn't be a question whether the axe or the sword is better. Like, the axe should be for chopping trees, and the sword should be for fighting. I feel like that's pretty reasonable. Like, tell me why the netherite sword does less attack damage than a copper axe. What? Now, it does have like double the attack speed, which makes sense because it's a sword. But like, why would the sword not do more attack damage than an axe? Like, am I missing something? But yeah, let me know in the comments if you enjoyed the video. Also, let me know if you learned anything. And with that being said, that's going to be the end of the video. I appreciate all you guys for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.